Well, Stacey and Ben, it is. It's like our political Super Bowl tonight. We are anxious for these results to come in. And Dennis, the types of voters who decide to turn out and cast their ballots will determine the outcome of these races. How is turnout typically different in a primary election?
Well, primaries are the lowest turnout elections we have. We get biggest turnout in presidential elections, second biggest in midterm general elections, like what we'll have this coming November. And primaries are much lower turnout, but that means that it's the most activist, most dedicated party supporters who turn out, either to oppose the other party or to support their own party.
What did we see in 2018 and 2022? Those were the last time that we had a midterm primary election to kind of compare tonight to.
Right. Those numbers are very indicative. If we can get those on the screen, we'll see that.
Yeah, see if we can pull that graphic up there.
There we go. Right. So we see that in 2018, it was during a Republican presidency, Mr. Trump. There was just 16% turnout in the Republican primary in 2018, but there was 28% Democratic turnout. They were enthused about trying to, every party thinks about throwing the bums out from the other party. It was the other way around in 2022. You had a Democratic administration, President Biden, you had increased Republican primary turnout, you had decreased Democratic primary turnout. So to a great extent, it's a matter of what's the administration, what's the party in power, and the out party turns out a little bit more in primaries to rev up to get candidates to throw the bums out.
Obviously, right now, Republicans control the Iowa House, the Iowa Senate, the governor's office. There are 4 Republicans in Congress in Iowa. Republicans have unified control. Democrats are making the case that this is the year they see an opening, that they can try to gain back power in Iowa. Tonight is the first night we'll be able to actually see the numbers. How many Republicans are passionate? How many Democrats are passionate? What will you be watching for with turnout to tell that level of enthusiasm?
Well, we want to know particularly the turnout for the statewide races, right? So the gubernatorial race on the Republican side, the senatorial race on the Democratic side. Will that turnout be substantially more than it has been in the past primary in 2022 or even the one in 2018? Those numbers are still fairly low. I mean, they're less than 25 or 30% of the overall party, but they're indicative of the level of enthusiasm the members of the party might want to bring to bear in November.
Now, one of the things you mentioned, the Democratic primary race for Senate, that's going to be interesting to watch tonight. We heard Jody talk about, Zach Walz and the type of campaign that he has run, pitching himself as a new type of candidate, a fighter. Now, over on the other side, Josh Turek has campaigned as like a Harkin-style Democrat, talking about prairie populism, reaching to the middle class that he believes has been forgotten, and saying that he can win over independent and moderate voters to try to flip a Senate seat in Iowa that Democrats have not done in decades. As you're watching the results come in tonight, you've got 2 Democrats that are making different electability arguments, but are pretty similar in terms of substance. Are there areas of the state that will be telling when it comes to which one of these Democrats may do better?
Well, sure. We know that Turek's electoral base is western Iowa, the more Republican part of the state, and Walz's electoral base is eastern Iowa, particularly Johnson County, the Iowa City area. That's his electoral base. Do they activate that support, each one in his base, or does one have the ability to kind of tap into the other's base? Does Turek do better than we might have expected in eastern Iowa? Does Walz do better than we might have expected in western Iowa? That's something we're going to keep an eye on.
And finally, just touching on the Republican primary race for governor here, there's been a lot of conversation just because there's a lot of uncertainty in this race. Is Feenstra really the front runner like he has been saying that he is? Is Lane surging like Lane is saying in these final days? Does Trump's endorsement actually matter? Will it make a difference since it came just 4 days before the election? Are there certain different types of voters that could make a difference in this primary race for governor, or other things that you'll be watching as we wait for results to come in?
Well, the question on the Republican side is this. President Trump, Donald Trump, back in 2015, getting the nomination in 2015, he activated a segment of voters who were very upset and dissatisfied with their own circumstances with the condition and direction of the country as a whole. President Trump didn't create that group, but he recognized them and activated them. And that's that hardcore Trump MAGA base. Will they show up in this governor's race? So I would imagine they would show up, but the question is, do they show up as a unified force supporting one of those particular candidates overwhelmingly, or do they split that vote among several of those candidates?
And again, in this race, one of those candidates has to get more than 35% of the vote in order to win this race tonight. Otherwise, if no one candidate gets 35% of the vote, this will go to a state convention, and party delegates, basically party activists from all across the state, will be the ones to pick the nominee.
And those party activists, in a sense, could be very different from even the general electorate voting in the primary. So all bets are off if it ends up going to a convention.
It's going to be a very interesting night.
yes.
There's a lot to watch.